But y'all, this is a celebration, man.
For sure.
This is our 100th episode, which is crazy, which is insane. Gratitude is like fulfilling throughout all of this right now. How does it feel like 100 episodes to you?
I mean, honestly, it's still sort of kind of surreal to have that many episodes of something that I thought we started like yesterday, but it's like, wow, I guess we're still here.
Yeah.
It's like a lot to take in, honestly. I was just thinking about it earlier today, like, wow, 100 episodes of something that I didn't know what it was going to turn into. So just thankful to be here and thankful that it's still rocking.
And I'm curious about that because you've been here since day one. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Marcus Hollinger.
Shout out.
Who definitely spearheaded this entire show, this entire vision. And not only I know you grateful, I'm grateful, but even people listening, just because even with him transitioning, leaving Reach, the show still being able to be what he created. I think it's just beautiful. How did that come about? Like, what went through your mind? Like, did Marcus come to you, ask you to be a host? Like, did you want to be a host? Like, just talk about what that was like from the beginning.
Sure.
Starting out.
So I think he has mentioned it before, but I think it needs to be resaid. It started with summer 22, I believe. We did a podcast episode and taping about the summer's playlist releases.
Yeah.
And it was like a conversation, We Are the Movement. And we had booked out this really cool space.
Yeah, right.
And me and Marcus, with the help of Lecrae and other artists, were interviewing some of the artists on the summer playlist. And I mean, we didn't even have, I just showed up and I guess the Lord used whatever communication skills I had, and we just talked it out. And so we interviewed all those artists. It went really well. And shout out Trig from Holy Culture, who's, the founder of Holy Culture. He, when he was getting Holy Culture on Sirius, he had seen that those tapings and was like, wow, I would love to do a version of that for our radio show.
Oh,
so that's kind of how it all started.
Shout out to Trig.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal.
Trig is phenomenal. So I think, this is kind of a lesson for anybody. A lot of times you just gotta like do something, and if it's done well, maybe, not definitely, somebody may take notice and want to platform or elevate it. So that's kind of how it started. So
how did you feel about just taking it from what was just for the playlist to now doing it weekly, now being a host, really being a broadcaster? Like what went through your mind as like stepping into that light?
It's definitely been an adjustment. I didn't plan to be like a podcast broadcaster.
Yeah.
Marcus was obviously like the lead, and I was kind of helping him out, and I was kind of the co-host, which I still am. Shout out Mia Evans, the one and only. But it was something that we felt it would kind of get started, see how it went, and once Marcus transitioned, I kind of fell into leading the show, which is new. So it felt like something that was at first I was like, what am I doing? I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Some of my early interviews, ain't gonna lie. Those who know, I think I was talking to one of our interns, Karen, about it. She made a comment. She was like, you've really grown off your...
Do you see the growth though?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, in what way?
Man, I want to say this publicly. Diaz, I'm sorry. My interview with you, it was kind of trash. I ain't gonna lie. I was over talking her. Every time she would answer a question, I would like fumble over her and ask. So I think early on, I was just a good interviewer, prompts questions and listens well. And I felt like you have to give space for people to actually talk and push them, prompt them to expound on what they're saying. And I felt like early on, I was probably interjecting and not giving them time to process. Right now, that's an interview skill. You already know. Like, I didn't know there was I didn't know it was an art form. So I had to kind of learn. Like, after I watched a few, I was like, "Yo, what are you doing out here?" So yeah, but God, there's grace for all that, right?
No,
yeah, it's not that I'm feeling like bad. I'm just like, I didn't know what I was doing.
No, Ace, you've grown tremendously. I was watching some of the old episodes that you and Marcus did, just you two, and you've definitely have grown. That's why I always give you your props, because it's not easy. People do think that you can just sit in front of a mic and it just comes to you, and it's not. There's an art to it,
for sure.
And those who take it seriously can carry it well, and you've carried it well for 100 episodes.
But I've been on it as 100. I felt like, even though it's been 100 and you weren't there from the beginning, I feel like you were there pretty far enough into it. Like, you are part of its growth, right? You've been here. It's been a year.
It has been a year.
So you've been here longer than any other host. Technically, you've been here as long as me. Which is
no.
No, you've been here as long. You've been here long. Yeah. Any other? I think we had DJ Mike Kell for a season.
Yeah.
You've been the longest running like co-host. So how does that feel?
Man, I'm just grateful, man. Because I mean, we've already talked about this. Like, I've been in broadcasting for it'll be 12 years next year. So when Joe, shout out to our producer, came to me about being like, hey, like, wanted, because at first, it started out with the 116, the playlist, the summer playlist. I was just guest hosting, what I'm saying? I was really grateful because, like, with already being submitted in, like, into the space and playing and being aware of the music, I was excited. Like, that's something that, like, all media platforms in the space look forward to, is who's being on the playlist, so forth and so on. So being able a chance to, like, really talk to people, I was excited about that. And I knew I was capable, but then when D and Joe asked me out to lunch, I was like, I either did something wrong. They're gonna cut all my episodes that I did for the the 116 playlist. Like, what's gonna happen? And being asked to be on, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't sure if I should have did it.
Why not?
Only because it's like, I know I could, but like, how like you go to another level of of your profession. So I was like, am I capable of doing this, like, by myself, like holding things down with just like, being me and things like that. And I was kind of like, man, I don't know. I feel like they could really hold it down without me. But I was just like, God kind of gave me the green light. I was like, yeah, you can do this. So it's been, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think the best part about doing the show here is on and off screen. It's just like, y'all just made me feel really valued. I'm grateful for everybody, like, on the team and just being here at Reach. Like, everyone just makes me feel like, like you really bring something to the table, and it makes you feel good to not even feel that, but people be able to make you feel like that as well.
No,
like,
you've been a blessing, and I would say, like, there are certain people who may not necessarily be like staff of Reach Records, but they're a part of the extended family. Whether they're certain, I mean, I would say even our engineer Matt, I feel like he's like literally, I mean, we gotta give this guy a key card already, right?
For real.
What I'm saying? Like, he's essentially like, I mean, he's here doing the Craze podcast. There's certain people who are part of what we do, and it feels like family. It feels like we're all aligned on the mission of what it means to be unashamed of the gospel.
Yeah.
In rap, in podcasts, on radio, in merch, on coffee mugs, not just a commodity, but a real principle.
Yeah.
And obviously I know the haters gonna say, well, y'all are monetizing it. Yes, we do. And the heart, though, is not just for monetization.
No, it's not.
It's to rep Jesus and culture.
And I honestly, I feel like that's the reason why because at first when I was asked to be a part of it, I was kind of like, okay, well, taking on another show. At the time, I was producing one show, producing and hosting one show. I was having another show under my belt. Like, do I have the time for that? But the more D and Joe told me the vision behind it.
Sure.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Where it was like, it's not about us just putting out music. It's about us talking about the 116 lives we're living. I was like,
for sure,
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Like, I can get on the show, and that's something I can run with. You know what I'm saying? So it was exciting being able to be a part of something that was not just, because we have mics and we have the space, we can do it. Like, like there was like intentionality.
And it's something I know we're kind of on a rabbit trail, but this is very important for the purpose of the show. And even, look, we are in a podcast culture. We are in a clip culture.
Yeah.
We are in Tyler, the Creator, just said randomly, if he became president, the first thing he would do, he said he would ban all podcast equipment.
Yeah.
And so we are in a culture of everybody wants to hear talking points. We're in a season where clips from podcast episodes get more virality at times than like actual music and stuff. So I don't take this lightly. Something me and Jackie talked about yesterday. We were meeting on some music stuff. She was like, in this culture, sometimes positivity is viewed as boring.
Yeah.
Like wholesome. And you know what? If that's how the marketplace is defining, shows like ours where we're just we're not really here to get into the mud and slander, so be it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to stand on truth. We're going to have healthy and hopeful and wholesome conversations, and we're going to like stand on that. And thank you for everybody listening and tuning in. And that's how we're going to impact culture. We're going to put that into the world.
Yeah.
No diss to anybody else that seems to do it a little differently, but that's kind of how this show is built. And I am proud of that.
Well, how do you feel like the show has grown from episode 1 to 100?
I think the conversations have been more pointed. I think there has been spaces where the show has grown, not being dependent on guests.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like me and you have been benefits of the Lord's grace to like have conversations that people actually want to talk through. I mean, that's just not just me, capping when I say that. I'm based on some of the viral views from not our guests, but like your talking points, talking points. I'm like, oh, people, wow, I didn't. I mean, we just this is like me you just having talking. This ain't no like performance. This is how we really see the world through this lens of being unashamed. So I feel like that has been really cool. And also, I feel like, I think that's probably been the main thing. Like really defining conversations, not limited on guests. Where hip hop and music are part of it, but the lifestyle that flows out of the music has been really cool to kind of see those conversations create views and kind of go viral a few times. So,
I agree. Yeah. When it comes to the transition, when it came to you holding down the fort for a little bit, even like with me coming in, was there any challenges you feel like you like kind of dealt with when it comes to transitioning into a interviewing mindset and being on camera, things like that?
Oh, I think the only challenge was figuring out how to. I mean, any program that's supposed to run consistently, you have to figure out how to be compelling, find new ways to innovate, progress. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes it's been challenging to figure out how to, keep the flow of conversations relevant and fresh, and not be redundant. And I think our producers, Joe, Matt, and Dee, and Shan have all been very helpful in that. Mm-hmm. And also sometimes, honestly, some of the challenge is me just being busy and stretched, and even you too. Like we're just with other lives outside of this, but if this what the Lord has called us to, this what's being presented, it's like, yo, show up, like anything. Yeah, try to give it your all. Like we just off air, we just spent a whole 45 minutes prepping for this, right? Because we do want to steward this well. And I think that's a testament to the show, which is sometimes can be like, not a challenge, but it's like, it's a responsibility. Okay. That takes time. So that's good.
Listen, we got to talk about the episodes that we've done. Because at first we were trying to like figure out which ones, but 100 is a lot of episodes. Thinking about, we may be scrolling too for those of you guys who are watching just to see, because it's a lot of episodes like we were saying. But at the top of your head, what were some of your favorite episodes we've done, like guests we've had on?
It's a great question. I was actually scrolling, thinking about this. Some that come to mind. The Sam Rivera episode was just powerful. Yeah. His story of like dealing with like, it's kind of a heavy subject, but he talked about like how he used to hurt himself. And I didn't know that until he mentioned that on the couch. And I was like, yo, wow, that's what a transparent moment that he's sharing with the world. And the way he like, you could tell his heart like really beat for Jesus and really, got the help he needed and really was being vulnerable as growing up like as a Christian kid and rebelling and going to that depth, to that deep and dark place. And I think those moments are really powerful when we have, sitting on the couch and somebody's like pouring their heart out. So that was like another one come to mind was, Mike Teasy's story is crazy. His
Shout out to Mike.
Mike is just full of joy. Mike's story was just really, I didn't know like his whole story. And there's those moments of like being, I think it was Ty Tribbett who had championed him really early on before things even got going, and him just putting his head down, being faithful. And he just was he pulled up with his wife, and he was like, man, he was just very like gracious and humble, and just a really good guy. So What about you? Anything come to mind? That was your favorite?
The top of my head, I think one of my favorite episodes when we had Rich Perez on. Ooh. Just because I was just always inspired by Rich as a filmmaker, with having a background or even aspirations of doing that in my past, and just hearing the things that he would say. There were certain questions that I asked that were genuinely questions of mine, but he just really, I left that interview really inspired. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's never too late to still create, and it's never too late to still pivot and to like do what, I don't know, maybe go in another direction in which maybe where God could still lead you in. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So something about that episode that's really
He's a very like
stuck to me.
Inspirational person.
Oh yeah.
Like his tone of his voice is very like calming and like encouraging. Yeah. And so that's dope what you said that. Anything else come to mind?
I think also I enjoy episodes where I genuinely love what I do just because I love being on platforms where we can give other people a platform. So I loved having Deja and David on.
Oh yeah.
And like Shout TK out. And Namdi.
Yeah.
And DeBaron Hughes. And just people that I know of where it's like, what you're doing is great. I have the opportunity to be on a platform where you can talk about that. Right. Like what you want to come on in and do that. Also, I will say, shout out to everyone who works here at Reach. I really do enjoy the episodes where we get a chance to talk to people from
That's true.
the staff side. Just because people who are like tapped in, like, who know the artist, but like y'all gotta know the people who help move this operation. So like having on Brian and having on Logan.
Because I missed that one. And
having Brian on was cool just because like you think that like, I think that's the beauty about this show is the fact that all of the lives we live, everyone has a story. Yeah. And everyone has been impacted by our faith in different ways, and him talking about when he was overseas in Rome and how that impacted him and his faith, and how he's impacted from when he was a middle schooler to now working with middle school boys. It was just something about that where it all came full circle in the story.
Some of his clips kind of went viral too.
And it was just really dope talking to Brian, and even when we talked to Logan, I believe in the past, and you had talking to D, like it's just, I think it's really great for people to see like from the studio side and on the staff side that people are really living these 116 lives.
I thought that the Joel Barnes episode really stood out as well. Like he was like really giving like a testimony. He was ministering essentially and giving new light and perspective. And honestly, he shared some stuff that I didn't know about him either. Like when he was sharing like about like his brother, which was like really heavy. I didn't know about that. And he was he gave that metaphor about the sheep and like how sheep are so dependent on
that
the
clip. Kind of went viral too. I saw that on TikTok. I was just scrolling. I was like, wait, I think I was there when we did this.
Oh yeah, these people be y'all keep clipping stuff, put it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like we ain't here to like make a clip. Go, but if y'all got the juice, man, go ahead. There's a lot of good conversations in the archives of the 116 Life. Also, I think an episode that we did recently with Pastor Philip Mitchell was also a
really good episode.
A really powerful one.
That was good.
I thought that he, I've watched a lot of his interviews and grateful for you for reaching out to bring him on the show. You guys had a past history, and I thought that he said some things he probably didn't say in other interviews. That was kind of like jaw dropping, essentially. Like, yo, this man went through this, and now he's on the other side. And I felt like for him being like a rising voice in the Christian culture that we are privy to live in, I thought that his interview was like really, really impactful and special. Yeah, and it was different than the other ones he's done.
I really liked that episode too. That was the first time I've ever gotten, my eyes were sweating on camera. Just because he was just, one thing I admire about Pastor Philip is that he's so authentic. Right. Everywhere he goes, you know what I'm saying? And I just, to bring that here and not try to like sugarcoat it and like, or say, like we talked about comments that affected him. And he could have easily been like, well, no, because like, comments don't get, you can't let that get to you. But him being like, no, like that stuff gets to me.
Also, my favorite part of the 116 Life is when Lecrae interrupts our
I was about
set.
to say that too. I'm surprised it didn't.
He's here, ladies and gentlemen.
For the first time, I was actually really scared. Oh my gosh.
I was like, I don't want to interrupt this.
Nah, I kind of prompted.
Like, oh man, they having a good time over here.
Now I see why guests really get scared from sitting over here, because on this side I can see when Craig comes in. Over here you can't see.
I just want to say that, Craig, I don't know if this angle is favorable for you over there to this side. Yeah,
Look, everybody's scared. People running out the room.
Yo,
oh
hey
my
Craig,
goodness.
hey, ain't gonna lie, it's 100 episode, man. I didn't think I was gonna be a podcaster, but anything you got to say, bro? And just thoughts on the 116 Life 100 episode, man.
First of all, Ace was never good at this. And then he did this. And I was like, he's drowning. And then you showed up.
What?
And you saved him. You pulled him out the water. And he quit drowning. And he got better. And now it's enjoyable to watch. And so,
all right.
I want to thank you, Mia, and Mila Craig gonna fight after this. I don't know who's gonna win, but I'm gonna get a few shots in. Nah, just kidding.
It's wild, man.
Shout out, Craig. Nah, she did. No, you good. No, you good. Nah, but it's good, man. Good to have you. I think this is the fifth.
This is the fifth time. I'm really waiting for someone to put a compilation
Yo,
together.
for real.
Of
if
every single
if
time
the Woman
Craig
Six
has...
Life can go viral, it's just somebody's in the clip with Craig jumping in the frame, bro. That don't got the views. Just y'all find that.
A whole nother level.
But I was like, I don't know if I trust myself.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't. Yeah.
Oh man.
Appreciate you.
I'm trying to get my heart rate back down. Shout out to Craig for the fifth jump in.
Yeah, I said I threw you the, you know what I'm saying? You know how it goes.
Speaking of impactful episodes, shout out to Paris. I really enjoyed when he was on the show, just because I think that even goes into the authenticity, his honesty. Like, I don't know, it's something about his honesty when he was on here, where it was just like, it was raw, it was transparent. And plus, we knew his heart meant well with the things that he was saying, even like diving into the things like what you saying with things you didn't know, like him going through that health scare.
Sure,
and like, that's one thing I love about the show, is people being able to like really pour out the things that go on, not even like the history of like years, like childhood and things like that, but like their current lives. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like him battling through an illness and then pushing through that and wanting to be different in the way he expresses his music and how that transpired in his album that he released earlier this year. Like, I just thought that was just, I don't know, something about that was really, I thought that was a standout episode to me.
It really was. That's a very like powerful one. And when people share stuff, I mean, even Big Breeze shared some stuff that was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just definitely different. And I feel like I'm just excited to have people share their real life on screen. I mean, I feel like you share stuff. I mean, some of our stuff was like,
no,
you know what I'm
do
saying?
You have a favorite topic we've done, just you and I?
I think the Black Music Month was dope. The Black Music Month was dope.
It was.
Because we was like, folks was mad.
People was mad. I was so surprised by that, though.
And I think I said a comment that people was wrestling with.
Yeah.
I was like, it's Christian hip hop, black music, whatever. You can go look it up. But I think that was like controversial, but necessary to just have the conversation. I think we did some one on rest that were really good.
Okay.
The rest joints.
That was my favorite episode
we've
done. I don't know, something about it that I watched it back a couple months ago and I was like, man, I needed to hear that. Like, I just feel like we just really snapped, because I feel like that's just, I think that goes one of those countercultural things. Because I mean, on podcasts for real, that's where you hear the hustle, get up, go grind. That's where you hear things like this on when people get in front of these mics.
Podcast
but it's so
away.
Countercultural to get on here and talk about like, no, take a day off.
No,
like,
sure.
I watched those clips back to this day and I'm like, man, we really snapped.
It was, I mean, your episode where you talked about what was it? Ooh, I forget. It was something about your long Sundays or something like that. It was long Saturdays, something with the family. It was something
I think that was the rest episode.
Okay, yeah. That was good. So I think those have been really good. I do have a question for you though. Is there some guests that you would love to see that we haven't had? I know we've had like all the roster. We had Lecrae, we had Ben, we had Tadashi, RG, Few. I would like to get No Big Deal on here. Some of the indie tribe. We gotta get some indie tribe guys on here.
At the top of my head, I really feel like, and I don't mean this in a cocky way, I feel like there's nobody in CHH that's out of reach for us. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, that's just, this is in a way like home base. I don't mean that in a way where as pushing everyone else on the outskirts, but I just feel like, we just create a space where it's safe for them to be here. Just from I love even getting the chance to talk to people where I genuinely enjoy them. I usually don't get nervous. I've been doing this for too long, so I don't get nervous doing interviews and things like that, but I would really want to interview Madison Ryan Ward. I really enjoy her as just like a listener.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious to know her story,
right?
And how she's grown to who she is today. So I think she's someone that I would really love to have on. What about you?
Let's we gotta. I think she's in Atlanta at times. So let me try to. Okay, I think she was coming to Atlanta soon. Let me try to figure that out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think she would be great.
Yeah. She'd be very powerful.
You mentioned who did you mentioned some people off here.
I would like to interview. This may be a little controversial for some. I would like to interview Montel Fish.
I think it would be such a great.
I mean, we and him have a little rapport, but I know he's obviously in a different space these days. I would just like to hear where he's at, and just kind of like, I think it'd be good to just have a conversation with him.
I think, honestly, I think it would be great to have people on where, I don't want to say where it pushes controversy, but I think we've even tapped more into that goes into our growth factor, where we aren't just interviewing people who are in the CHH space. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like but people who live lives of being unashamed. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Where it's like, whether, because I mean, like, I think we talked about wanting to have Zaytoven on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not necessarily in Christian music, but, I heard him talk about in the past, he grew up playing the piano at church. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like being able to give people the space where it's like, okay, maybe you're not in Christian music in some umbrella, but to talk about the life that you live. Some people have lives where grew up on church, or they still live lives where they're devoted to God. To have them the space to be able to talk about that and dive into that, I think is beautiful. And I think we should do that more.
I think another guest I think would be nice to have Forrest Frank. Just kind of. Obviously he's not a rapper, but I feel like he's paid homage to Christian hip hop and platforming our artists, featuring collabs. He obviously loves the space, so I think I know there's some people who kind of like unfairly kind of critique or criticize his success or whatever. I think it'd be good to just have him on, just so you can hear his heart for the Lord and stuff like that. So I think he'd be really good to have on.
Yeah, and listen, I think we've gotten a lot of, even like, shout out to the listeners, man. Like, the listeners, the responses we've been able to get have been phenomenal. And listen, this segment, we're going to solely dedicate this to the listeners and the fans, anyone who's been rocking with us, whether you listen on Sirius XM or you watch on YouTube, or if you just see clips on YouTube Shorts or on TikTok or on Reels. We appreciate the support, people being able to tap in for a little bit. One thing I thought was really interesting, shout out to the amazing, I feel like this is the best set of interns Reach has ever had. And I ain't even been here that long to even say that. Shout out to Naya and Gavin, and really shout out to Carrington, because Carrington's really helped us form this episode. And she was able to ask fans questions and different things like that when it comes to talking about the show, how it's impacted them. And one thing I thought was really interesting was they were asked a question, what's one word that they would describe the show? And one person said authentic. Another person said anointed. Someone said honest. Someone said fulfilling. And another one that stood out to me was genuine. And I really like that, only because I just feel like what comes from the heart should reach the heart.
For sure.
And I feel like there's nothing worse to me. And we talk about podcast culture. To me, I hate it when people just get a mic to hear themselves talk, and there's no depth. I don't know, something about it feels really sugar-coated, where usually when you get in front of these mics, you gotta be prepared to share something that's transparent, some form of vulnerability. And it's scary, honestly, because you have people looking at you, got eyes on you, people listening. And the fact that the stories that we tell are transpiring to other people, are impacting to other people, and that they sense our vulnerability, that it's not calculated, it's not, we're not trying to put on, you know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that reads through the airwaves and through socials, I don't know, it's something about that hearing that people see that we're genuine and authentic and honest. I don't know. I thought that was just that really meant.
No, I'm proud. That's encouraging, and it feels good to be able to give that to people. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I hope people can sense that, because I mean, that's all we got. Like, I think that I revert back to a line Lecrae said in his song "Die for the Party." It's like, Jesus, that's all you got for us? Yeah, the cross is foolish to the perish. Like honestly, yes, that's all. That's what we got, and that's what we're gonna stand on. But yeah, 100 episodes. It's been a long time. We're still cooking.
We're still cooking, man. Are there any comments? I know we got some YouTube comments. Shout out to those who watch on YouTube. All right. For anyone who commented on the show, anything that stood out to you.
Someone said, Ace need to get a haircut. No, just kidding. Someone said, me is the real host. Ace is here.
That's a lie. I've seen the comments. Nobody says that. Nobody says that.
No, this one says, I literally grew up on 116 music since I was about 17 years old. 20 years later, y'all still blessed enough. You've impacted the world with Romans 1:16. The movement actually started over here, always following from Zambia. Wow.
Whoa.
Crazy. All the way in Zambia, Africa. This other one that was pretty stood out to me was someone said, this is I'm so glad I found this. Thank you for sharing yourselves and your talents, nothing but facts and your wisdom for the ages every single minute so far. So glad I tapped into this. That's like someone who's like a repeat like listener and viewer, and they just always tapped in. That's pretty crazy. Like, again, like it's just encouraging. Like, wow, people actually really care about these conversations.
Did you ever feel like people weren't really tapped in, or like, did you ever underestimate that? Oh, people like watch the show, but it's never like,
yeah. I mean, obviously, like, I don't want to. This is like a piece of what we do, and so like any little bit of viewership is like encouraging. That means that there's somebody being impacted and blessed. So I take it as it's a net positive. You know what I'm saying? If it's 10 views or 10,000, it's all good, I do have a question for you though. Weren't there some fan questions from some people?
Yes. So we got some fan questions. They were asked, if you could ask the host one question, what would it be? And one of the questions was, what would you be doing if you weren't doing 116 Live? Now I'm gonna pivot this for you. What do you think you would be doing if you weren't a producer, if you weren't in A&R?
Shoot, man, for real, I'd probably be like working in like probably ministry.
Really?
I feel like I would.
Say more.
Like I feel like I just like, I love helping people. I love the gospel. I love the truth of God's word.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I'm a businessman too, so I don't know if I would stay in ministry. I don't know. I'd probably find some way to do that, and maybe have some type of business on the side so I can do ministry without the need for it to be like a breadwinner for me. So I'm entrepreneurial, so I don't know if that's maybe doing more real estate stuff and like building that, and then like getting a bag, and then like spending my time raising young men, pouring into young men, and helping them see the glory of God, because I feel like the culture needs that so much, specifically black men. So that'd be something I'd be, there's so many people criticizing culture, criticizing what black men could be doing more of, the need for more healthy men in the church in general, not limited to race. And I'm like, yo, maybe we need more people to just step up and do something about it. So that's probably what I would be doing.
Bro, I can see that.
Yeah. 100%. And if I could find a way to like intertwine that with business, so people can not just get the gospel, but also get employment, get, professional skills. We need more like quality guys to be quality fathers and husbands to our women in culture. And I think God has graced me in a way where I'm around a lot of quality guys, and it's like, and I see men who just need more development, more mentorship. So that's what I would take a lot of, and I do that kind of in different pockets anyway, but I probably would do that probably even more at scale if I wasn't like doing music.
That's so sincere, Ace.
Yeah.
I could 100% see you doing that.
For sure. I got 3 sons. I wanted a daughter. God was like, yo, you gonna raise some soldiers.
No, that was very intentional. That was very intentional of God to do that. That was very
I was like, man, you gonna fill my cup with 3 boys? That's crazy. What about you though? If you weren't doing like broadcasting or
I think I would be in the entertainment world to some degree. I went to a performing arts high school, and I was a drama major, creative writing minor. And I've always had aspirations of being on and off screen. So I think I would maybe play into the production side, whether with TV or film. So I'd probably be like a production assistant or something along those lines, or somewhere probably sharpening my screenwriting tool. I think I would do something within that arena, learning something from someone within this arena of TV production, movie production, or screenwriting, I believe.
You know what? Man, you had said something like, so you was doing something off camera a couple episodes before. I ain't gonna say who you were impersonating a certain guest, and it was hilarious. Like you weren't even trying, because everybody else tried to do it. And again, I can't say it because it would be a spoiler alert. And Mia got into character so quick, y'all. I was like, yo, you can act, you fam. Like you an actress. Like you got the, like you like. So she was like, yo, who is this person? I was like, do you do this at home? Do you do impersonate? You must at your family gathering. So funny. You do. At your family gatherings, you do impersonations of people.
No, I'm not. It's not like, hey, Mia, do that. It's just, I don't know. I'm honestly, I think I remember now what you're talking about. But
it was just, you be doing little voices and you be doing little caricatures, something like.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's something about, and I still have this feeling to this day, where it's something about acting that's just is so. It's fun. It's about being able to portray somebody else just for whether it's an hour long or just within a split second. That's just like, I don't know, it's amusing to me. It just, I don't know, something about it that just feels really fulfilling. And I wish I could describe it.
Nah, I was like, yo, you must. Then you was like, yeah, I went to performance art school. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because it was just natural. Yeah. I was like, who is this person right now? went into character quick. Anyway, yeah, shout out that impersonation and the person who was impersonating because it was kind of funny.
Now, when it comes to this was another question that stood out to us when it came to the questions that they want to ask us as hosts was, do you think there may be a potential downside to the success and to the pop off and the rise of what CHH is becoming? And I think the best person who can answer that question is you. I know you would have thoughts on that. What do you think? Do you feel like there's a downside to a potential downside to the rise of CHH?
That's a lot to say, but I would say, whenever there's like commerce, success, monetization in the area of faith, whether that's music, whether that's ministry, there's always a potential downside because sin is subtle at times and it creeps into our hearts and minds. So I would say, and I'm listening to this podcast, speaking of podcasts, by John Mark Comer, Practicing the Way, something Lecrae referred me to. And there's an episode on generosity and giving and money and the god of mammon, which is, wealth. And I feel like American culture, specifically Christian American culture, money, success, and faith, when you combine those things, it's almost impossible not for it to become an idol in your heart.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible not to. You have to intentionally tear it down, not once, not twice, not yearly, but literally daily. You know what I'm saying? So with the success of Christian hip hop and Christian industry at large, which is like one of the fastest growing genres in America, which is a stat by Illuminate, with that success, with that commerce, with that interest, it just creates an idolization of the art form, looking like getting into it for the wrong reasons. And it's something we have to guard our hearts against. And so this is not just a projection or like a admonishment to people outwardly. This is like inward. It's an inward heart check. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to be careful because I mean, we probably have a lot more Christian hip hop labels, not more. There was a time when it was like a lot, then it fell off a little bit, and then now it's kind of creeping back up. Yeah, it's more Christian hip hop artists with record deals, being platformed, being positioned. There's more people interested in getting into it, and with all that combinations of things, it's just like we just got to be careful that the monetization, the commercial exploitation of it doesn't make it an idol in our hearts that takes us off the main course of why we do it. And so that's something we got to be mindful of. So, and that's a lot, and I kind of just leave it right there, but that's kind of the main thing.
No, that's good. I think that's a lot of things, because honestly, a lot of the questions that we got was a lot of CHH insight from, which honestly comes off as if it was coming from artists. And I think that's another reason of the way, another avenue in which you bring value to the show, just because I feel like you're plugged into not just Christian culture, but you're just plugged into culture and just like music and the music industry, plus you being a man of God. So people who ask questions like that, they really, I'm not gonna lie, my ears go up when questions like this get asked towards you, because you're knowledgeable, you know what I'm saying? And plus you're really sound when it comes to giving advice like that. So I know people can really appreciate and also admire when you give your take on things like that.
After that Grammy win, let's just say that there was ripple effects of excitement and joy, and there was also byproducts of like weird energy from people around and how it was like beheld, you know what I'm saying? So again, with success comes the reaction to it and the need for that success not to grip your heart and become your idol. So that's something that you just got to be watching. It happens so subtly. So
that's real.
Yeah.
When it comes to man, the comments have been so phenomenal. Reading off air and even us talking here in live time. But there was something that I think Carrington asked some of our listeners the question of how has the show impacted you? And one of the the responses that impacted me was someone said that we encourage them to read their Bible more.
Hey, that's crazy.
And I was like,
that's hard.
Whoa. And to me, that's huge, only because we're not like podcasts. Nothing against podcasts who like this, but we're in a very different niche.
Right.
We're like, we're not talking about spiritual formation. Like there are people who do that well, like with the Perrys and in totality. and a lot of other podcasts that do that really pour into people. Save Not Soft podcast.
And Lecrae has is it the something?
He has a show.
Is it?
He has a show.
I think it's called like Seaside.
It's
or
like
something.
the shallow
Seesaw.
side. The
Seesaw.
shallow side.
It's
something's in about
it's shallow side.
Like shallow.
It's kind of just not even getting deep.
Like
the surface side.
Something about like waves.
Something waves.
Like, but that show pretty cool.
It's all right.
But when it comes to, I say all that to say that when it comes to episodes, when it comes to shows and episodes like that, the trolling off camera is crazy.
I'm here for the live audience. I'm here for it. Yeah.
When it comes to like shows like that, shout out to Craze Deep End. They do that so well.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And we're talking about faith, but music, culture, hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact that within us talking about culture and music and hip hop.
If anybody wants to read a Bible more off this, I'm like, yo, whether it's one view or a couple of, shout out God. Because that's end of the day, this is the thing, Mia. All these you know what I'm saying, these Grammys, these podcasts,
these mics,
all this wardrobe, all this junk gonna fade anyway, for real. So all the views, all the stuff, as long as it's done for the right reason, for the right person, as long as you can crawl out of the depths of your heart into the hand of God, there may be serpents lurking around that's gonna try to slide through your scene, but you gotta stay focused on the mission at hand, because people gonna act crazy around here. You just gotta be careful that they don't slip up or catch you slipping.